This is your WLAK Daily News Roundup for Lake Air, 107.5 FM and 1260 AM in Amory.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Wisconsin's young people are in a mental health crisis. That's according to a new study from the Department of Public Instruction. 59% of high school students say they've dealt with at least one mental health challenge in the past year.
Think about that for a second. Almost 6 out of every 10 Wisconsin high schoolers are telling us that they feel anxious, depressed, or suicidal.
State School Superintendent Jill Underly says schools need more mental health services. The remains of a Wisconsin soldier declared missing in action in the Korean War have been identified. Army Corporal Robert Race was from Dodgeville. His body was found in 1951. He'll have a military burial in Dodgeville in September. 75 police officers from Milwaukee will help secure the Democratic National Convention in Chicago later this month. They'll provide security as well as crowd and traffic control. More than 1,600 officers from 24 states and the District of Columbia worked the Republican convention in Milwaukee. A man from Fond du Lac will spend a week in jail for threatening state lawmakers. James Stearns is 75 years old. 2 years ago, he emailed a radio talk show host threatening to kill any state lawmaker who voted in favor of letting teachers and school administrators carry guns. Early voting for Wisconsin's August 13th primary is underway. The Wisconsin Interfaith Voter Engagement Campaign is reaching out to registered voters who sat out the midterms 2 years ago.
Listening to them, valuing what they have to say, and understanding why perhaps they've been disengaged for a while.
The campaign's Rhonda Lindner says just getting people to even talk about voting again leads to more civic engagement. Wisconsin healthcare companies say artificial intelligence should be limited and monitored. Officials from UW Health say they use AI for in-room transcription services during medical appointments and to answer patients' questions. A spokesperson says a doctor or a nurse reviews all messages before they're sent to patients. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly. The Duluth Police Department is investigating what they believe to be the suspicious death of a 25-year-old in an apartment fire last week. According to law enforcement authorities, 25-year-old Maxton Godowski was killed in the Lakeside neighborhood fire last week, and authorities have determined the circumstances of his death are suspicious. A further investigation is ongoing, and authorities are asking anybody with more information about the incident to contact the Duluth Police Department's Violent Crimes Unit. The Northwest Wisconsin region will see a $70,000 investment from the federal government to help showcase their outdoor recreational areas. Department of Agriculture Undersecretary of Rural Development Dr. Basil Gooden visited Beaver Creek Reserve this week to announce the investment through the Rural Partners Network. The funding will be distributed by the West Central Regional Planning Commission. Dr. Gooden also announced an $18 million loan for rural electric infrastructure. An Arizona pilot managed to walk away with no injuries after the plane he was flying crashed in Sawyer County on Sunday at around noon. According to the Sawyer County Sheriff's Office, the 58-year-old pilot was flying a single-engine Piper Malibu when the plane began to have engine trouble. With no airports in the area, the pilot was forced to make an emergency landing at a farm field in the town of Radisson. Authorities say the plane suffered extensive damage and the crash is under investigation by the Federal Aviation Administration. St. Louis County officials are reminding residents to submit their damage assessments following the severe flooding in June. According to county officials, residents must submit their damage assessments by Friday to schedule an inspection by the county. Homeowners that suffered damage from the floods could be eligible for property tax relief in the form of the local option disaster abatements and credits. If an assessor determines that their property qualifies, homeowners have until August 30th to submit those forms. Construction on the I-35 Twin Ports interchange is making major progress. According to a Northern News Now report, construction officials say they're hoping to substantially reduce the active construction zones over the next few weeks and expect both the I-35 main line and the northbound and southbound 535 bypasses to be completed by late August. They're also hoping to open the Highway 53 bridges and ramps by November of 2025. Work is still needed on the Lower Michigan Street area and Garfield Avenue. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is reminding eligible hunters to apply for the gun deer hunt for hunters with disabilities. According to a press release, this year's hunt will take place between October 5th and 13th, and interested hunters should contact the DNR to confirm a location with a hunt landowner sponsor by September 15th. The program gives hunters with disabilities the chance to hunt in a place that's more easily accessible for them, with landowner sponsors willing to open up their properties. Just hours after approving new public safety ordinances that target camping on city property, Duluth police officials notified people living in the City Hall encampment that they needed to leave the area. According to law enforcement authorities, the city's life safety team carried out the removal process, citing public health and safety concerns. The encampment began in May as protesters sought to speak out against the war between Israel and Hamas, and later expanded to include members of the city's unhoused population. The Duluth City Council has voted in favor of amended ordinance changes that would make camping on city properties worthy of a fine. After a 7-hour meeting on Monday, the City Council decided to amend the proposal to lower the penalty for outdoor camping from a misdemeanor to a fine, as residents voiced their concerns that the original ordinance changes would have essentially criminalized homelessness. Many residents still feel that the changes were not enough and would continue to marginalize the unhoused population. And that's what you need to know. For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly.
The Brewers lose to the Braves. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Brewers starting pitcher Joe Ross looked good in the first couple of innings, according to manager Pat Murphy. Ross had not pitched since May 20th.
The ball came out really good. He's obviously healthy. I saw a couple 96s, I think, and the ball had some life early. Those first 2 innings looked fantastic, and I think the Atlanta Braves had a tremendous approach against them. And these are all-star caliber players shooting the ball the other way.
But then Atlanta tagged him for 5 runs on 8 hits and went on to win 5-1 last night at AmFam Field. Jared Kelnick, who grew up in Waukesha, had a home run for Atlanta. Said he had about 80 family and friends in the stands, including teachers he had in middle school. Game 3 this afternoon. NFL, Packers giving their first-round draft pick, Jordan Morgan, a look at right guard. Jair Alexander says he's excited so far about the new defense. How good can they be?
It's hard to say right now, man, but, at the end of the day, I see us hoisting that trophy on my birthday, February 9th.
That's Packers defensive back Jair Alexander. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Sinead O'Connor's cause of death has been revealed. According to The Hollywood Reporter, a coroner's report says O'Connor died of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease coupled with bronchial asthma and a low-grade lower respiratory tract infection. What happens when Ozzy Osbourne tries to apologize? He ends up having to apologize. That's what happened when Osbourne said sorry to Britney Spears for recently criticizing her dance moves, saying when it comes to her dancing, he sees the same thing every bleeping day, and that is very sad. Can't find the clicker, huh, Ozzy? Just when the fence was mended, Osbourne said maybe change a few moves, though. Spears fired back some expletives and called the Osbournes the most boring family there is. Just an aside, one night when you're having a cocktail and you see a Britney Spears video, turn the sound off and watch her dance. Osbourne might be onto something. He's qualified, he's white, he's a dude. Actually, the dude, and he's for Kamala Harris. So says Jeff Bridges, star of 1998's Coen brother cult classic The Big Lebowski. Variety reports that Bridges took part in a Zoom call titled White Dudes for Harris. Joining Bridges on the call were fellow actors Sean Astin, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Bradley Whitford, and Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill. They were joined by various Democratic governors in pledging their support to Kamala Harris. Bridges brought out his best dude voice, saying, "I'm excited, man." Divorce can be rough on a couple. For example, according to TMZ, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez are splitting and have listed their Beverly Hills home for $60 million, forcing Affleck to buy a much smaller house for only $20 million. According to TMZ, Lopez celebrated her birthday alone by throwing herself a lavish Bridgerton-themed party. There's something so fancy about that, and yet so sad. If your resume is updated, you might want to send it to the Academy Awards. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Jimmy Kimmel and John Mulaney both turned down Oscars so far. ABC company man Kimmel has hosted the Oscars 4 times and the Emmys 3 times, but he's trying to slow down and have more balance in his life. Oh well, Mulaney said no thanks, maybe next year. The Oscars don't need to panic yet. The broadcast isn't until March 2nd, and it is still considered a prestigious gig, where most of the time you won't get slapped. Just because you've had a good sitcom once doesn't mean it's automatic your new show will get picked up. Just ask Ty Burrell, who played Phil Dunphy on the hit ABC show Modern Family. The crazy talented Burrell starred in 250 episodes of Modern Family, won 2 Emmys, and was nominated for 8 straight years. ABC still passed on his new pilot, Forgive and Forget. A tough biz indeed. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 7 to 9 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
It is going to be warm and humid today, partly cloudy with a high of 87. The heat index in the mid to upper 90s by later this afternoon. Tonight, some thunderstorms. Our low 70. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, scattered thunderstorms. A little cooler with a high of 83. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Currently, it's 71.
That's your WLAK Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at lakeair.radio.